Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are focusing on, well, probably the fastest and most critical network management challenge your body ever faces.
Oh, absolutely.
Instantaneous cardiovascular triage during exercise. I mean, when you go from 0 to 60, from rest to all out, your body's vascular system, its entire highway network, has to aggressively and perfectly shift its blood flow.
And it has to do it in seconds. It is the ultimate physiological traffic control problem. And for the biomechanics, professionals and educators listening, understanding the mechanics of this rapid redistribution it's just non-negotiable.
Right.
We're not just talking about cardiac output here. We're analyzing the precision of the whole delivery system.
We've got a stack of sources here detailing the blueprint for this control, and our deep dive today has two core missions. First, we need to really master the physics behind what we're calling the uphill battle.
Venous return.
Exactly. How deoxygenated blood defies gravity and pressure to get all the way back to the heart.
And second, we are going to tackle the strategy of prioritization, the vascular shunt mechanism. This is how the body makes the ruthless decision to divert precious oxygenated blood away from, say, your stomach.
Your digestive tract.
Right, and channel it directly into the working quadriceps during a hard run. Get this right, and you optimize performance. Get it wrong.
And you're looking at circulatory collapse and really impaired recovery.
You are.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning of that circuit. Getting the used blood back. I mean, the arteries have that powerful left ventricle pump driving delivery, but for venous return, we're talking about bringing low-pressure fluid from the periphery, often way below the heart back up.
Against gravity.
Yeah.
So what are the supporting power sources that make this feat possible?
It's so elegant because there isn't just one mechanism. There are 6, actually, all working together. If you relied on just one, it would be totally insufficient.
6. Okay.
The body has built in multiple redundancies. And to truly get the system, you have to appreciate how each one contributes. Let's lay them all out first. The 6 foundational pillars. Then we can get into the weeds and the mechanics.
Okay, sounds good. So they are number 1, the skeletal muscle pump.
The big one.
Yeah. Then 2, the valves inside the veins themselves. 3, the respiratory pump. 4 is gravity, which can help or hinder.
Right, depending on where you are.
Exactly. 5 is smooth muscle, or venous tone. And number 6 is cardiac suction.
That's a comprehensive list. We know the skeletal muscle pump is, it's highly visible. It's the active engine in our arms and legs. How does that rhythmic action of movement actually translate into blood flow?
So just picture the large muscle groups like your calves or hamstrings. Think of them as external hearts for the veins.
Okay.
When these muscles contract, they physically compress the deep veins that are embedded right within them. This mechanical squeezing action, it just spikes the pressure locally in that vein segment.
And pushes the blood forward.
Pushes the blood forward towards the heart. It's a cyclical, intermittent pump that's powered by you just walking or running.
But the risk there, of course, is that the squeezing would just push the blood backward the second the muscle relaxes. So that's where the valves come in, correct?
They are absolutely essential. They are the one-way security gates. Because veins are such low-pressure vessels, the valves are what stop that backflow.
So the muscle squeezes, blood goes past the valve.
And that valve snaps shut immediately and makes sure that all the pressure from the muscle pump is unidirectional. It only goes one way. Without functional valves, that whole pump mechanism, it would fail completely. You'd just get blood pooling.
We spend so much time on the active pump mechanisms, but what about the other 4? For instance, the simple act of breathing, the respiratory pump. How does that help return blood?
This is a great one. This is where we connect the pulmonary and cardiovascular system. So when you take a deep breath in, your diaphragm contracts and it moves down.
Right.
This action increases the pressure in your abdominal cavity, but, and this is the key, it simultaneously decreases pressure in your thoracic cavity. Your chest.
Where the heart is.
Exactly. Where the vena cava enter the heart. This pressure difference is critical. It acts like a big syringe, just sucking blood from the higher pressure abdomen up into the lower pressure chest. And during hard exercise, when you're breathing deep and fast, this pump is incredibly effective.
So we've got an active muscular pump in the limbs and a passive suction pump powered by breathing. What about cardiac suction? That sounds like the heart itself is pulling blood in.
It is. It's a subtle but important detail. When the ventricles relax during diastole, the filling phase, they expand really rapidly.
Okay.
This rapid expansion creates a momentary, slightly negative pressure, a bit of a vacuum effect inside the ventricles and the atria. It's a passive drawing, or, well, suction of blood from the major veins right into the heart chambers.
That really is a beautiful design. So many small forces all converging. And then we have the more obvious ones like gravity and venous tone. How should we think about their roles?
Well, gravity is the double-edged sword, right? It
Hmm.
helps return blood from your head and neck, anything above the heart. But it's the primary enemy for blood coming back from the legs.
Of course.
And as for venous tone, that's just the inherent smooth muscle activity in the vein walls. The sympathetic nervous system dictates that. Veins are really compliant, they stretch easily. But if the sympathetic system tells those walls to maintain a slight, constant tension, that's the tone, the veins stay a bit constricted. They resist the urge to pool blood, and it speeds up return.
So if these 6 mechanisms fail, the pumps, the valves, the passive forces, we get that thing every athlete dreads, blood pooling. We all know that dizzy, faint feeling if you stand still right after a sprint. What's actually happening in the limbs?
When you stop moving abruptly, the most powerful force, that skeletal muscle pump, just shuts down, gone.
Right.
And if the veins are really compliant, the blood that's left in those low-pressure vessels just settles, especially in the lower legs. Gravity just wins. This stagnation, this pooling, means the blood isn't getting back to the right atrium efficiently.
So there's a sudden drop in preload. Less blood is coming back to fill the ventricles.
Precisely. And less return means less blood can be pumped out per beat.
Stroke volume drops.
Stroke volume drops, cardiac output falls, and your system-wide blood pressure plummets. That sharp drop in central pressure is what causes the dizziness. The failure of venous return directly impairs the heart's ability to get oxygen to the brain.
That makes the stakes crystal clear. Okay, we've ensured the blood gets back up the hill. Now for the crucial part, directing the freshly oxygenated supply. Let's transition to the art of prioritization, what we call the vascular shunt mechanism.
This is where the body shows its incredible triage ability. I mean, when cardiac output increases 5, even 6 times during intense activity, that oxygenated blood has to be routed to where it's needed most.
The working tissues.
The working tissues. The core principle of the shunt is simple. You channel blood away from non-essential areas and towards the active ones.
Let's use that mandatory practical example. During a long-distance run, How dramatic is that shift in blood distribution between, say, the digestive system and the quadriceps?
Oh, the shift is extreme. It's incredible. At rest, maybe 20–25% of your cardiac output is going to your skeletal muscles.
Okay.
During peak vigorous exercise, that can soar up to 85%, or even higher.
Wow.
And to do that, organs like the kidneys, the spleen, and especially the whole digestive system, they see their supply slashed by up to 80 or 90%. That redirection from the gut to the quads, that is the shunt in action.
So we get why it happens.
Okay.
But who are the physical gatekeepers? Who's controlling this microscopic traffic flow at the tissue level?
We rely on 2 major structures at the entrance to the capillary networks. First, you have the arterioles. These are muscular vessels. They're responsible for controlling the overall resistance to flow. If they constrict vasoconstriction, they increase resistance and they restrict flow into a region. If they dilate vasodilation, they lower resistance and blood surges in. They're like the main dial for a whole region.
And the second structure is more like the actual on-off switch for specific capillary beds.
That's a perfect way to put it. Those are the precapillary sphincters. They're tiny, ring-like smooth muscles right where an arteriole feeds into a capillary network. They are the true gatekeepers.
So they open and close.
Exactly. If the sphincter is closed, blood just bypasses that capillary bed. But if it's open, the entire bed is flooded with blood. You get maximum exchange of oxygen and waste.
Okay, so if the body's central command is screaming, conserve pressure, constrict everywhere, what's the local trigger in the working quad muscle that tells these sphincters to ignore that and open up?
What's fascinating here is the power of the local chemical environment. The second a muscle starts intense work, its metabolic state just changes drastically.
Right, it's burning fuel.
It's burning fuel, it's consuming oxygen, its pH drops because of lactic acid and CO2, and its temperature goes up. All those factors, low oxygen, high CO2, high temp, more acid, they are powerful local vasodilators. They directly signal the precapillary sphincters to relax and open.
So that local metabolic demand is so strong, it actually overrides the central command.
It absolutely does. It overrides the generalized central sympathetic instruction to constrict, but only in that specific working region.
So wait, the body is effectively trusting the muscle's distress signals more than the brain's initial generalized command in that specific area. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about that central command, the neural dictator. Where does this massive whole-body shift start?
It starts in the vasomotor control center, or VCC. It's a critical integration hub located in the brainstem.
The command center.
It is the command center for regulating blood pressure and flow. And it's not operating in a vacuum. It's constantly getting real-time telemetry from receptors all over the body.
And what kind of telemetry is it monitoring to make these split-second decisions?
It's taking in multiple data streams at once. You've got baroreceptors in the carotid arteries and aortic arch.
Monitoring pressure.
Monitoring pressure, yeah, by the stretch of the vessel walls. You've got chemoreceptors watching blood chemistry like pH and CO2. And during exercise, you have mechanoreceptors in the joints and muscles signaling that movement has started and how intense it is. The VCC integrates all that data, and then it issues the executive order.
And when the VCC decides vigorous activity is starting, it flips the switch on the autonomic nervous system, specifically the sympathetic nervous system, the SNS. What's its primary instruction?
The sympathetic drive is the fight or flight response. Its instruction is rapid, widespread, and simple. Increase everything. During exercise, it dictates a massive release of catecholamines, adrenaline, noradrenaline. But its main job for the vasculature is to maintain core blood pressure.
To keep the brain and heart perfused, even while the muscles are demanding huge volumes of blood.
Exactly, which means the SNS has to perform this incredible balancing act. It's trying to achieve two things that seem completely contradictory at the same time.
Okay, what are they?
Goal 1. The SNS dictates widespread vasoconstriction in all the non-essential areas: the gut, skin, kidneys, resting muscles. This generalized constriction drastically increases what we call total peripheral resistance, or TPR.
The friction in the system.
The friction in the system. By increasing TPR, you maintain that crucial central blood pressure. You keep the whole system from collapsing.
But then, goal 2. It has to somehow let the working muscles get all the blood they're screaming for, even though it just issued a general constriction order.
And this is the masterpiece of control. While the VCC issues that generalized sympathetic command to constrict those local chemical factors we talked about, the low oxygen, high CO2 in the working muscle, they are releasing potent vasodilators.
Right, the local override.
The local override. These local factors are so powerful, they locally shut down the sympathetic signals. It's a process called functional sympatholysis. The muscle effectively tells the central command, I know you want to constrict, but my metabolic need is higher right now.
So what does this all mean for the athlete in motion? The system maintains high systemic pressure because of widespread constriction in the gut.
Yes.
And it gets massive localized flow because of that local override and dilation in the quads.
It's the perfect synthesis. The sympathetic command structure ensures the whole system stays stable while permitting massive localized delivery right where it's needed. Without this dual action, the athlete would just experience a huge blood pressure drop as the muscles opened up,
leading to circulatory collapse.
which is obviously not compatible with sustained high-intensity performance.
So if we synthesize everything we've covered, sustained performance really hinges on two things that are just tightly interconnected: highly effective venous return, the uphill battle, and precisely orchestrated vascular shunting, the delivery priority.
They have to work in perfect synchrony.
Yeah.
That summarizes the physiological infrastructure perfectly. But let me leave you with one final provocative thought, building on the autonomic nervous system. We focused a lot on the sympathetic nervous system, the accelerator. But the source material also mentions the parasympathetic nervous system.
The brake. Rest and digest.
Exactly, the brake. And the transition speed between them is fundamental to an athlete's preparedness. The syllabus specifically points to the physiological shift that has to happen instantly in the period immediately before exercise.
Just before the gun goes off.
Yes.
Yeah.
How quickly can an athlete's SNS overwhelm their PNS? How fast can they drop their baseline heart rate, adjust their venous tone, and get the VCC ready for maximal activity? That psychological and physiological speed that defines an athlete's readiness.
Understanding blood redistribution is vital. It's vital for your physiological theory and for designing your practical recovery strategies.
Find more technical blueprints at revisedirect.com.